streaming it onto YouTube.
Oh, this meeting is being live. I want to go look at it too on YouTube to see it.
It's going to be great.
Nice.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Okay,
I feel like we
parts.
never left.
Right? We got all the moving parts down. We're
Yeah.
recording. We're live on YouTube. It's all good. Welcome to day 2 of Embodied Leadership. We're so happy you're here. If you're live, say hello. If you're on the replay, #replay. We're so happy that you carved out time for this conversation. It can be so important. It is so important for us to have conversations that stretch us, that move us forward in powerful ways. We all need that. So kudos to you for being here, making the time, choosing yourself and your leadership. We are so proud of you. I am Samira. I am a trauma therapist and a leadership coach, and honestly an advocate for people truly living their best lives, right? Not allowing the past to take us out, truly thrive after trauma, to own all parts of ourselves and our worth, right? The futures that we get to create on purpose with intention. And this is my lovely partner, Andy.
Hello, I'm Andy, and I am a trauma-informed and resilient coach. And like my partner said, like really just on the mission here, trying to advocate for people that want to live their whole lives. They don't want to just be in this autopilot all the time like I did. I lived like that for many, many, many years, and raising 4 children. Now my son's off to college and my daughter's going to college. And just in reflection of all that, I wasted a lot of time in autopilot, and I refuse to let people do that now. So I really want to support them and coming home to their wholeness and, definitely healing parts of them that they might have been left open for a long time, because those parts can become burdens in our life. And it doesn't mean that you're a burden, but those inner parts can be burdens on us, and they can remind us of what we don't have. So I really want you to focus on what you do have and the resources that you do have, tap into those, and then live on purpose from there.
Beautiful. I love that so much. And we're here to help you do that. We're grabbing all the links. So folks can watch. Today, we are really talking about step 2 in this embodied leadership framework, if you will. And I think it can be so important sometimes. We can feel like we're so close to like the clicking into place. I used to write that in my journal years ago, right? Clicking into place. That point where you're like, it clicks, I've got it, I'm good. For those of you who likes the Rubik's Cube thing, like when all of those colors are matching, firing on all cylinders, you feel like you are locked in. We want that for you. And often what I believe prevents us from getting to that point, right? In our own leadership, in our life, in our business, in our relationships is, it's not even about here, sorry. It's not even like always fear, but it's almost like this hopscotch, like trepidation between where I am and where I want to be. So my today self and my future self, my today self and like 2.0 version, right? And so we believe that those puzzle pieces really are our standards, really our purpose and our mission, and understanding how these work together, how we make it too complicated when it really truly doesn't have to be. Also boundaries, and how when we get them working together, it's like the fuel in moving us forward in whatever area of your life, but especially for those of us who have a history with trauma in some way. I think most people do. And we're also committed to doing our soul's work into making an impact in this world, on whatever level, right? Like in our own families, in our own lives, through our work, through our missions. Some people really do the hard work of healing and returning to wholeness. And then you want to support other people in doing that work. And we can hit these hiccups of like, this is a lot to hold. Like I had this big dream, I had this like desire to want to pay it forward, but it's stuck. It's hard. And now what? So we're going to talk about that. Now what today, as we unpack our standards. Tony Robbins says, and I don't believe all of what he talks about, but he has some solid principles. One of them being, if you want to change your life, raise your standards. Raise your standards.
I couldn't agree more with that too, because really the shift does become when you less allow things in your life that don't need to be there. And I think if we have very flimsy standards, as I'll say, it makes it's almost like if we have cracks in our foundation and then things are leaking through, and we don't want that in there. Like I had leaks in my basement, like we did the basement over, but there was a crack in the foundation, and then all of a sudden the water seeped through and it ruined the work that we did. That's kind of what happens in life. We work so hard to build these things, these empires, our families, all of these relationships, all the things, but there's cracks in the foundation. And then all of a sudden it gets damaged and all the work we're down the drain. And we can get really frustrated with that. So I think raising the bar, raising the standards is definitely something that because we're talking about leadership, and you cannot be a leader if you don't have strong standards. And we want to know like how you're defining those standards, or after this presentation is over, you might say, I need to redefine my standards at this point, because maybe I'm finding that I do have cracks in the foundation. And this is without judgment. We saying these things lovingly because we want you to strengthen your foundation. It's very important to have those strong standards so you can up the bar in other areas of your life. So you can raise not only the standards, but now you're raising the level of integrity. You're raising the level of leadership. You're raising those levels even higher. So the standards have to become firmer.
Exactly that. Exactly that. And I think that we struggle sometimes with this piece of it for all kinds of reasons. I think as women, as humans, honestly, we get caught up in these norms, this programming around what does it mean to be assertive for those of us who are raising girls. And honestly, even this newer generation of kids, it's like, it can be hard to raise feisty, driven, opinionated girls because we don't want them to be seen, right, and judged as being too bossy, but we also don't want them to lose that spark, yes, or bitchy, because that's what we need in life to move anything forward. We need to be true to ourselves. We need to not be ashamed of wanting what we want and having desires and knowing that we are worthy of them. Because we were born worthy, right? As Melanie and Lara would say, and nothing has changed. And we so often experience trauma, right? Trauma simply being anything that happens too quickly, at too fast of a pace for our nervous system to process it in present time. And if we can't have the support to go back and process that situation, that journey stays within us.
Stuck in us.
Yes, gets stuck in us. And so when we experience trauma on whatever level, sometimes I call it like having a big dump truck full of sand that gets dumped on us. Is often trauma. We feel like, well, maybe I was worthy before the sand was dumped upon me. Now it's here. I can't even find myself or my core. I don't feel worthy, or I feel worthy for some things. I've been able to move enough of the sand off of me to feel worthy of some things, but maybe not everything. Maybe not really committing to what I want. Maybe not really going all in, because what if I feel disappointment? I felt so much disappointment in my life. I don't want to feel any more disappointment. We don't want to feel embarrassed. We don't want to feel like if I try it and I fail again, what will I do? If I break my word to myself again, because I always do, right? These are the voices that we hear sometimes in our own head, our own inner thoughts. And these can be parts of ourselves, young parts of ourselves who hold the wounds and the burdens of our past. And sometimes when we are trying to move through life and keep all the balls in the air, juggling kids and bills and goals and trying to stay alive and keep the lights on right and get a shower and call home sometimes and figure out how we're going to make money and go to school, like figuring out all the things. Um, when we think about, okay, how am I going to add focusing, really focusing on this thing that matters to me, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't feel confident about it. And I keep trying some things, coaching programs, books, podcasts, and I still can't click into place. What am I missing? Often the answer is simple. It's just not easy. We have to decide. And decision feels so simple, but it's not easy. When we decide that this is what I'm doing, I know the past, I know I get it. I know where I am, I know I get it. And this is still my decision. When we decide, we close down so many of these like chatter voices, so many of them, we shut it down. Doesn't mean that they're permanently deleted, but we're able to focus on our decision, and decisions will change your life. It's easier to make decisions when we are able to tap into our standard. And so we have an actual definition for you of a standard, because sometimes it can feel much trickier than what it actually is. It's simply a level of quality or attainment. When we are thinking about a level of quality, it's like, what is the quality of life that I want? What's the quality of relationship that I want, right? Of life, relationship, business, money, passion for life, right? Like, what's the quality of how I'm showing up for me, right? For my parenting journey or my professional journey. What's the quality I'm bringing to it? And what's the quality that I'm wanting, desiring from life? Is it clear? Have you defined it?
And I too want to just say that it's like the quality of our leadership, essentially, right? Like that's we're drawing always back to this leadership because we are talking about embodied leadership here. So it's like, what is the quality of our leadership? Because we can have leaders that are, right? Quality is kind of low quality. And then we can have very high quality leadership. So I love that too. And I just also want to say, and we were talking about this earlier before we jumped live, that boundaries are different than standards, right? So like boundaries have limits. Boundaries are like no go, like, you don't pass go at this point. This is my boundary. A standard, it's something that we put in place. Yes, I do believe that standards can protect us, but they protect the quality, the level of service we're offering, where the level of standard that we have is protective of who we are, because it does go back to your values. What means something to you? If time is a measurement that you use in your life and you're like, I really value my time, then you need to have stronger standards around your time, not letting just people suck your energy, throwing things on your desk, things that you're like, no, I don't have the time for that. Like, where is that we can't be Johnny on the spot all the time for everyone. And like my partner Smyra said, we want to be the nice girl. Like, we want to be the accommodating one. We don't want to be the bitch. We don't want to be the like the aggressor. Like, we want to be that sweet, kind person that just kind of accommodates and makes everyone feel good. But then what happens in turn, or what I see has happened in my own life and with my clients that I work with, because I work with a lot of good girl, good boy archetypes, and it does go both ways. Here, because guys also want to be accommodating. They also want to feel needed at times. They may not admit it as much, but it's definitely something that they have as well. So with that archetype, we need to have clearer boundaries and raise that standard. And I want to just add too that if you're like, well, I haven't been doing this, that doesn't mean that you're not worthy. This isn't tied to worth. None of the things that we talk about are tied to worth. You're innately worthy regardless, right? It's just a matter of, if you want to be a better leader and have more of that leadership, authoritative in your niche, in your life, in your relationships, in your family, whatever it is for yourself, then standards has to be a conversation that you're having, either with yourself, of course, but also with your team, with your mentors. Like, how can I implement strong standards so I can protect what I'm doing? I'm protecting the work, which leads us into the work, which is our mission, right? That is the work. Do you want to kind of kick off the mission?
Yeah, that is our work.
I thought that's
So
a
beautifully said.
beautiful kind of evolution, right? Like, we have the
Yeah.
standards to protect our
Mhm.
family, to protect our work, to protect all these things.
And we're going to go deeper. I want to tell you more about how to actually begin to establish standards for yourself, because it sounds like sometimes it can get a little tricky, but we really do have to get pen to paper and start identifying and clarifying. And for some of us, it's redefining, because the standards that we had maybe in our teens, in our 20s, in our 30s might be different from where they need to be right now at this stage in our life. And I think even a matter of standards that we had maybe in January of this year might be different than what we need now, based on what our goal is, our priority is, what our North Star is leading us forward, what our right now values are, right? So we have to shift, honestly, because we're moving quickly, to be honest. Like, I feel like in some ways we are growing and evolving and transforming quickly. And we might have defined something a year or two ago, or maybe never. And we're having a lot of contrast because there's not clear definition around the standard. And that does honestly impact not just the mission, yes, everything, but it impacts our relationship with our mission. And honestly, what's the mission? It's simple. It is, I believe, why you're here. There's a quote that says, that it's like a gift to be born as a human onto earth. And that's the first like lesson in life. And the next like real hurdle, real discovery is to figure out why you're here. And why you're here is different for all of us, but it's very simple in terms of going within, asking, why does my life matter? And for some of us who struggle with low mood, maybe PTSD, lots of complexity from our past, we can have real injury around our self-worth, around our self-esteem, and we may struggle with why is it important that I do what I came here to do, that I find out why I'm here. And this is important too. Not everyone's mission is to have a celebrity status or billions of dollars. That's not everyone's mission. It's not everyone's mission to be an Oprah, right? That's not everyone's mission, and it's okay. It's also really important to know that I believe every single person on earth has a mission. They have a purpose. And so the mission really has to do with your why. I think some of you may know Tim Tebow, and Andy shared this with me, his wife. They both are big on their faith and they talk about it a lot. And when you think about why we're doing something, it can be easy to get caught up in flashy, IG, picture perfect. And we're not saying those things can't matter, they can. But are we valuing those kinds of things where we're making it more important to look like we're busy, to look like we're doing important work, right? Versus just deciding that our work is important and we're going to show up and we're going to do it. And so she shared, it can be really important to put kingdom over brand. I know not everyone is faith-based, and you might enter your word there, but I do believe that we're all here for a higher calling, a higher mission to move humanity forward. And all of our missions are tied to our soul's work. I believe our soul's work, AKA purpose, and we'll get into that next, is intrinsically linked to whatever pain you've had the greatest mission is to move humanity forward in some way. And that mission has to do with why we are here. It drives you. It's the thing that you would do no matter what. Andy and I were sharing about this. If you won the lottery tomorrow, You were financially free, financially set, you went viral, everything like 7 figures, you're good. And you just wanted to do something with your time besides travel and all the things, right? What would you do? Some of us would do certain things no matter what. I would support women healing their past and creating their future from wholeness versus woundedness, no matter what. I would do it on an island in Fiji, right? Even if I had 10 figures in my bank account. Each person has a thing that they can't even get away from. It's like their heart is tied to it.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's your mission. It's not always sexy and like, you know, champagne glasses. That's not all of our mission. It might be how you like to have fun, but sometimes we think of mission as like Oprah's platform. That's not everyone's mission.
Right. No, it's so true. And when I heard that quote from Tim Tebow's wife, first of all, I just want to say, I didn't even know who Tim Tebow was until I saw his Netflix thing. So go watch it. Seriously, like, he's very inspirational. His journey is inspirational, but his wife, and they're very religious. And again, this may not be your jam or like your journey, and that's fine. The one thing I just want to add about our mission, why this resonated with me so much, was because when you hear kingdom over brand, we can get so stuck in like the smaller, which we think are bigger things around, especially around like our business, like the money, the recognition, the likes, the comments, the notoriety, like all those things. And we can really get down on ourselves if those don't kind of fit the bill, right? We don't feel like we're measuring up. And in this case, it's like, but who are you serving? Your kingdom is who are you serving? That's what this goes back to. The standards, like we talked about, are not just to protect you, but they're to protect your mission. They're to protect the people that you're serving or whatever it is. Like, you may not have a big mission, right? And in the sense where it might not be this worldwide mission. You might have a mission to be a good mom. And like, that's freaking incredible. Like, that's your journey. That's your mission. But your kingdom is your family. Your kingdom is the children or the spouse or whoever it is. The kingdom is the home. The kingdom is, you know, your bank account, whatever the things are that are in your value system. That's what the kingdom is. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be, you know, God or anything like that. I believe the kingdom is my community. So when I think of brand over community, it's like, that doesn't feel right to me. Like, when I heard it, I was like, I've played that way before. I've been brand over community. And I was like, when I raised my standard, when I raised my leadership, and I decided that it's going to be community over brand before I even knew about that quote, that's when I saw not only things shift in my business, but the quality of clients that I attracted, the quality of partnerships I've attracted, the money that I attracted, it's always different because I decided that my mission was more important than what it might look like, if that makes sense.
So much sense. And, you know, for many of us, so much sense. We do believe in a higher power. We do believe in having an anchor in that. And sometimes it can be hard to feel like, yes, I'm spiritual. I believe in this higher power and I'm trying to do this thing in the marketplace, or I'm trying to create this business that is heart-centered, that is soul-based, that really is going to support people in some way. It's hard for me to like blend the two or whatever.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we're meant to blend the two, sometimes we're not. But when it comes to our mission, it is so important to have this higher arching like context. When we're here to help move humanity forward, it can come at a cost in terms of we can't always play it small. We can't always hide behind our ego, right? Are we going to use our gifts to serve our purpose? There's a book called The Seat of the Soul, and it talks about I will submit my personality to my soul's purpose. I have always been introverted, shy. I would sit in the back of the class, right in the back of the church. I didn't want to be in front of anybody or speaking in front of anybody. It's never been my personality. And there was a point in my life and in my own recovery, in my own leadership journey, where I realized I had a voice and a heart that spoke to the voice and heart of
Yeah.
other women and
Mm.
helped them to get free. And I had a choice to make, and it was honestly so scary. And to be perfectly honest, I make this choice every single day because showing up on video, showing up live, teaching in front of people, being seen as some authority or an expert has never been my jam. That's not what I went to school to do, right? I simply wanted to support people in their healing journey. But I quickly realized that if we are going to be obedient to our mission, are we going to be vulnerable enough to say, I'm going to put down how I thought it should look? Am I willing to set aside my ego and commit to the thing that I'm here to do, even if that moves me out of my comfort zone? The challenge with this is when we have this trauma background, sometimes our trauma responses, we think they become our personality. And so we
Mm.
think, I'm just shy, I'm not good at this. It's never been my thing. I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna throw up. I can't do it. And these things might feel very true, right?
Yeah.
But we have to decide what is important regarding our mission. And can we actually commit to our soul's work, our soul path? And I believe that when we do that, the resources, the courage, whatever it is that you need, you will be given on your way with every step that you take. And there have been times where I have been on my knees in prayer, saying to God, like, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to give me the strength to do it because
Mm.
I don't have it in my own strength. I can't do this. I cannot talk in front of people. I cannot move past this visibility block or whatever the thing is. Like, I can't do it. So if you want it to be done, you're going to have to do it because I can't. And it's what Andy's talking about when we have these places of surrender where we decide what our standard is,
Mhm.
what we're committing to, when we know why it's important, when we know why it's important. Some of the same things that supported us in our own healing and transformation are the things that we're committed to supporting other people and having access to. I believe in trauma recovery and personal development because it did save me. And so I'm passionate about getting it into the hands of more people who want the support, who will take it, implement it, and transfer their own lives, and then ripple that effect back out. I believe that healing our consciousness is how we heal the world. So to wrap this back to our leadership, leaders make decisions. They can't always guarantee it's the right decision. They can't always guarantee it's going to work out perfectly just as you had it planned, right? But they decide and they keep deciding. And when it doesn't work or it doesn't work out perfectly, they pivot and they make another decision. And sometimes we can get stuck in the trauma response of being paralyzed. And I get that. I've been there. We are too afraid to make any decision and we can get stuck in overthinking things, right? I have these same conversations with Andy, and she'll lovingly say, I hear you. And what are we going to decide though? Like, I get we have these four options, but what are we going to decide? Because it's going to work or it's not. It's going to work or it's not. And we got to decide to move forward. We also can have this energy around doubting ourselves. And we're going to go deeper in our community around really unpacking how our trauma responses are impacting how we make moves, are not making moves, and are not moving forward in our mission. But if you're committed to the mission, your mission, why you're here, maybe it is to be the best mom you can be and break generational curses in your family. Maybe your kids are grown and you're committed to resolving some things that didn't go well in those younger years because you were traumatized, you didn't have the support that you needed, and now you want to create some different communication styles. You want to create some repair in the relationships. You want to own your part and set some healthy boundaries. Maybe you want to learn how to love yourself because you never learned. You don't know, right? You want to do it differently. Maybe you say, okay, I love this thing that I do in my life. I know it could bless other people. I'm not doing it all for the money, but I need this to make money so that I can do it. How do I do that? all of this is about growing our leadership and really surrendering to the idea that if we commit to the mission will commit to us.
Yeah. I want to just say that, like, that's perfectly said, because the mission will commit to us, because we've seen it happen, like hand over fist. Like, we've seen it happen time and time again. But the one thing that you said, you're an introvert, I'm extroverted. So it's like they have the opposite perspective. And it's funny because trauma does not discriminate. So
Nope.
whether you're introverted or you're extroverted, the trauma responses can show up very similar. Like, I didn't mind speaking. I've been a public speaker. I've run and produced my own events for 16 and a half years. I'd be on stages at schools, stages and conferences. It's actually where I find myself at home, which is a very odd thing to say, because most people are scared shitless to do those things. And I'm like, here for it. And I don't even have to prepare. It's just like, I just go out and do it. And I find that I'm actually naturally pretty good at it. But that doesn't mean that in different capacities, I still wasn't struck with some of the same things as my partner was, even though we both had two very different personalities. The trauma really can hinder the personality in a way. Like, you might even think that you're introverted because you've been conditioned or because of the trauma responses that you've been kind of in, but really you enjoy speaking, right? Like, you're really good at speaking, but you just had a narrative that you weren't going to be good at it. And I know that when we first met, that was one of the things that we had chatted about, was helping you kind of get beyond that and into more of this teaching live. Because here's the thing, if we let in leadership, for me personally, in order for me to be a good leader, and this goes back to my standards, I set a standard for myself. And the standard is, am I going to let my emotions run the show? Or am I going to allow myself to have the emotion, to be afraid, to be not confident, to be uncertain, but still do it anyway? The standard I set for myself is to do it anyway, because that's going to move me forward every single time. No matter what personality you have, if you set a standard for yourself that you're going to do something and you commit to that, then that's going to build confidence when you do it. It's doing it over and over again. And then also going back to, like, why am I doing this? If my mission didn't matter to me, if my tribe, if my community, if my kingdom didn't matter to me, then I wouldn't put myself in awkward, uncomfortable spaces to do this work. But I ask myself, okay, I might not feel comfortable doing these TikToks. I might not feel comfortable speaking live. I may not feel comfortable doing these things, but the mission matters. And so I'm going to go forth anyways, because the brand is not as important as who I'm reaching. That's really where my mission comes in. And everyone has their own journey when it comes to their mission and has their own idea of what that mission is for themselves. But it's really the soul's work. It's what your soul, like, I go back to this thing. I felt underqualified in this for so long. And that was one thing that I had to strike from my narrative. Like, stop saying you're not qualified to do this, right? You are qualified. Because when I saw that quote, that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called, that was like, I'm called. Because how else can I explain the love and passion and soul feeling that I have when I'm doing this work? That is a calling. That is a mission.
And that's how you know you're called.
That's how you know.
When you might not even choose to do this thing, you may
your
not even choose
would
to
be
do
like,
this.
No.
Exactly.
Right? Human of you is like, no, we're not going there. But that mission is like, nope. That soul is like, nope, you're going there.
It's so true. And in so many ways, our mission can't be truly activated until we accept it and we commit to it and we take steps And this can feel so hard because we can keep ourselves busy with trying to do all of the things that seem important. Many people in our world are building trauma-informed practices, businesses, to bring in their professional skills into the coaching world. And it's so important because the reality is, as much as all of us talk about all the things coaching, what's working, what's not working, how to do it, how to grow it, how to start, how to continue, how to scale, and all of these topics are relevant. The truly important fact of the matter is the world is imploding. Children and young people and older people, suicide rates are at an all-time high across the board, right? Divorce all-time high, poverty all-time high. People are hurting. And the reality is some people will never step foot into a therapist's office. They may not find whatever your favorite coach is. They may not ever find that person online. They may come across you and what you're saying and what you're doing and how you're living and what you're sharing, right? They will come across that. And you might say one thing that changes their entire life. You might say one thing that helps them stay alive. A few years ago was going back and forth about being consistent with sharing my message online, right? Story of my life. And so many of yours, right? And I had this nudge to write a post. I was like, okay, it's late. I'm tired. I'll do it in the morning. I was like, okay, fine. All these stories, right? Of I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later. I promise I'll do it tomorrow. Something woke me up. I think the Holy Spirit in the middle of the night to write this post. I woke up, I wrote it. I'm like, fine. I did it, went back to sleep. Woke up the next morning, get me ready for school, had this random DM. I don't even check, I think, this account like that. And this girl said, you saved my life. I saw your post. I had prayed. I asked God if he wanted me to stay alive, he would send me some kind of confirmation that it wasn't going to suck this bad forever. I saw your post. That was my confirmation. I stayed alive. Thank you. Whatever it is you're saying or doing, please keep doing it. That was her message, right? And so what that said to me was, and I prayed for her, and when I tried to find her profile, like it wasn't even like there. It was like some kind of, I don't know. But that was the DM that I got from this account. What it said to me was, what we do does matter. Our obedience does matter. Committing to the mission and showing up and claiming it and committing to doing it when it's hard, when it feels easy, when it's working, when it's not working, when we are tired of doing the same thing and we know this is the path forward. It's committing to it come hell or high water. It really is like a spiritual journey. For those of us that have kids or have pets or anything that you got to show up for every day, you show up for that dog whether you feel like it or not, because he needs to be taken care of. You show up for that kid, even if they pissed you off yesterday, they still need care. You don't get to dip out for 7 days and come back, right? You don't get to leave for 30 days and hope they're okay and then come back, right? I think when we can understand that there's a person, like Andy's saying, attached to the other side of the thing that we're doing. There's someone attached to the other side of what we're sharing and what we're doing and the decisions that we make. There are people who read the newsletters. There are folks who engage with your content, or they see your flyer up at Panera and they're like, oh, this is a hit. Like, I feel like I have a connection here. I need to reach out to them, right? It's an actual person. And because we live so much, I think, online, we think there's nothing really attached to this thing. But there are people's lives that hang in the balance of us committing to our soul work and doing it and committing it and showing up the best that we can in the spirit of excellence based on whatever that is for each of us. There's someone's life on the other side that will be impacted by it. And this is the actual thing. This is the effort. This is the doing. Our commitment and showing up for it is what activates the mission to grow and to support us. It rises up and meets us like to the level of where we are, and it lifts us, right? If we don't step in and accept it, the activation honestly can happen, or it takes so much longer than if we just take the action step and commit and do.
Exactly. And that's a beautiful like story. And I have similar stories like that. And one thing that was coming to me intuitively when you were telling that story was like, not only was it confirmation for her, but it was also confirmation for you. Because sometimes we need the confirmation that it does matter, right? And we need that validation, like, we are busting our butt putting this content out there and it's on deaf ears all the time. And then it's like, you get that and you're like, wait, God wants me to keep going. Like, this is a sign to keep going. And I know that I've had many instances where I didn't feel like doing it. I didn't want to go live. I didn't want to post something. And I've had family bash me. I've had people that love me be like, stop writing these long posts and no one's reading your stuff. And literally people that's supposed to love me and like, you know, cheer me on have torn me down because of my mission. And why do you talk about trauma so much? And nobody wants to talk about that. And then I'm like, no, because I get a DM from someone, or not even a DM. I get a call or a text message from a mother who lives in my town, who I see at the school drop off. And she messages me, I saw your post yesterday and I've been dealing with this. And thank you for saying that. And, you know, I don't want to hire someone right now, or I don't want to work on this right now, but I just wanted to tell you that I watch you and I listen to you. And thank you for saying the things that you do. And it's like, fuck you to the people that, you know, say those things that bash you or knock you down, or you feel like they're going to reject you, because there's one person who you wouldn't even dream of. You say one thing and what you say is just what they need to hear. That leadership alone, like Smyer said, save their life or help them forge on to the next step that was scary for them. Or, you know, did what I remember I had one woman text me saying, like, I almost didn't go into the fertility clinic because I was so scared. I was attaching the outcome. And you said something about detach from the outcome and just do the thing. And she's like, I went in and now I'm pregnant. It's like, I don't know who this person is. I've never met this person. I have no contact with this person. This person did not hire me, nothing. This was solely just a God wink, as I call it, like a God wink. Like, thank you for sharing. And so, well, thank you for sharing, because I didn't even like think of those things as part of the mission, is to show up because someone needs it. Someone just needs it. And that's it. And we have been on the other side of that. I've been on the other side of that, where someone has shown up that probably didn't want to show up, that was tired, that had a hard day, that was scared, that would have been rather doing something else. And they showed up. And I was like, I remember on my fitness journey, when I first started, I relied so heavily on other people's videos and messages and overlays of like songs and stuff to keep me going, because I wasn't seeing results. I was feeling frustrated. I wasn't getting to where I wanted to get. I had woke up with inflammation or tired. And then I would watch these things and I'm like, thank you. Thank you for showing me that. Thank you for dropping that into my reel, or thank you for dropping that into my world, because that helped me like forge forward, just get to the gym, just take the next little step, get that momentum going. So yeah, this is what the mission is. It's that drive, it's that passion, it's that purpose to keep going, even when you don't want to go and you don't see why it matters.
Exactly.
And that's true leadership, because leaders don't always get noticed. They're not always recognized. They're not always getting bowed down to. They're not always getting thanked. You may have no idea what you've done for someone. You just may not. You just have to trust that what you're doing is reaching people that need it.
Exactly. And like Andrew said earlier, we know that not everyone necessarily is wanting to have a business right now or to share, go deeper. But for so many people who are wanting to create a side hustle or to share their big idea, or even to share what they know, so many people are sharing what they know, and it is blessing other people. Sometimes that's as simple as encouraging someone who is facing what you're facing right now. That can easily become a business. It can easily become something that's impacting other people and impacting you in a way that supports you financially. It can happen. And the reality is sometimes we have to just accept that if we are here on purpose, I believe we all are, and we get to live intentional lives if we choose that, it's going to require us to go inward and say, okay, what is my purpose? We make such a huge deal out of this. It doesn't need to be. You don't have to go on a 30-day hike trip in Bali, right? If you don't want to, right? To figure it out. Right, go to Bali, yeah, because you want to, not because you're trying to like figure out why you're here necessarily. In terms of, we make it a thing that's outside of us. It's a matter of going inside of us, asking ourselves, our higher self, our higher power, what am I here to do? And give me the strength to do it. Our purpose is always linked to our passion, what we would do no matter what, as we said, and also to our pain. And we want to just hit on this briefly in terms of our purpose really has to do with the thing that's taken us the longest. It was the challenging, not even the longest, it's the thing that we've had to overcome, outgrow, grow up from, heal, surrender to, like the healing of this pain point. And so many of us have all kinds of pain points, right? But they all tend to come down to a core wound. It might be abandonment. It might be abuse in your childhood. It might be not feeling heard or seen. It might be not feeling loved by your parents, by your caregivers. It might be just having like this bullying experience that shifted how you thought about the world and yourself, right? Whatever this pain is, rejection, abandonment, fear, trauma, we all have this core wounding. And for so many of us, our purpose is linked to our healing, returning to that wholeness within ourselves, and then figuring out how to transmute that and using what we're taking from it, using how it has transformed us as a person, using that. I don't believe all things happen for a reason. I don't believe that. But I do believe that we can take anything we've experienced and turn it into something else. You can take your pain and turn it into purpose. You can take your pain and turn it into power, right? Personal power, into the power that it really requires for us to support other people in this journey that we call life. And so, no, not everyone's meant to be a therapist or a coach or a mentor, but we are all meant to lead ourselves and those around us. It's inevitable. And so when we decide to allow our pain to move us forward, we are stepping into our purpose. There's a movie out about LeBron James and how he grew up. And the reality is, single mom, she didn't have a lot of support. They didn't have a lot of money. There was this one guy, like in his town in Ohio, that had a kid, but he also would pick up other kids to take them to the Y for basketball. Kids whose parents worked or mom was a single mom, he would just do it. And he became a mentor of LeBron's, and he took him, right, supported him to these camps and the after school things. And this was a guy who already had a kid, married, worked full time, had his own life, but he invested in these other kids who needed someone to come alongside and fill in the gap. What are you here to fill in the gap for that maybe you're overlooking because you think it's insignificant? We often think our sharing, our posting, our showing up is insignificant. Who's even going to see it? Why am I even doing it? Why should I even put out this masterclass? Why should I even share about how folks work with me, even when I believe in it? Even when I believe in it, I don't have time to go help my neighbor do this thing. I'm already busy. It's like when you set with and commit to, what am I here to do as a human? Am I here to help humanity? Then we start to get about the business of doing something every day that moves that forward. LeBron has said he doesn't feel like he would have continued on that path as hard as things were for him as a kid with his single mom and her struggles if this man had not. Friends to this day, he talks about it, how the rides, the calling him, the checking on him, the going and shooting basketball with him on Saturday when he already had a full life. Some of us, I believe, are discounting our missions and our purpose because they don't seem sparkly. They don't seem like
it's the big thing. It might be a small, insignificant thing that we are underestimating that could change everything for us and the people connected to it if we would simply honor it in whatever size it is. If it's in seed form, if it's a little baby apple, if it's the whole tree, whatever seed form it's in, if we could honor that, commit to it, and get about the business of doing it, I believe it would change everything.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because just really briefly, like, I have a new job now, and I work in a school, and I tell my husband, sometimes I come home and I'm like, I wash tables, like, for kids, like I wash the tables, literally, like I get snack out for them when they come in the room. And I sometimes think it's very insignificant work. I'm like, it's just, I feel like a glorified babysitter sometimes. Like, I'm literally, look at all the schooling I've done. Look at all the education. Look at all the work I've done with clients. Like, and this is what I'm doing. And I have to get grounded and back into my mission and my purpose. Cause I'm like, there's a purpose, there's a purpose why I'm there. And that's to help these kids. And part of helping them, like when I walk in the room and they're like, hey, Miss Andy, like, asking me questions, like, it's like, you don't realize how just your presence there every day, them being consistently seeing you there every day, impacts their life. The little conversations we have, the walk to the park, the walk around the track together, the, shooting the basketball, if that's what I have to do, just to get in their proximity, just to build that trust with them. If that means washing tables, if that means taking some lumps because I'm getting my way into this new part of my mission, then that's what I have to do. But none of that really is insignificant. Just like the LeBron James example you said, like, those rides he might have felt was insignificant himself, but to LeBron, they were like what he looked forward to, what he needed to get him to go to that next step. And that's such a beautiful example of, even though our pain may feel insignificant to other people, what we've gone through is very significant to other people, because what you've done, how you've lived on purpose, because you've made a choice to live through the pain. You've made a choice to be better, to change the narrative, to break the cycle, to have the mission that you have, no matter what it is. With those choices have come doings, have come action. And every single action that you have taken has impacted someone somewhere. So none of this is insignificant. This conversation is not insignificant. The work that you do from here on out is so significant. So that's why we wanted to come in this. We knew in our hearts, like when we started talking about this collab again in this masterclass, we were like, okay, no, we're having the conversation. This is so important. And then we wanted to even take it a step further and deepen it and actually give you some of that integrational support, because once again, the mentorship, when we get stuck, because we're human, we get stuck in the ego. Just like I came home and I'm like, I wash tables. And my husband's like, no, you don't. You don't just wash tables. You do so much more than that. But part of the job might entail you washing tables because you're showing up and you're there for those kids and you're tending to their needs. And I know teachers that have to wipe butts because their kids are incapable of doing that. A teacher doesn't go to school to learn how to wipe a butt, but that's what they're doing because they're so devoted to that mission to help these kids. So we're here to help you. That's the point here. We're here to help you really cultivate that mastery leadership that you can take onto the next level of whatever you're doing in your life and business.
Yes, and the wherewithal that it takes as
the wherewithal, because we don't always have that.
Yes, that there's all parts of leadership, not just the shiny parts. There's the parts where we feel doubtful, where we feel like we're insignificant, where we feel like I'm never going to figure this out. We've had so many students in our world, in our program, talk about, I'm not good at tech, I'm not a good writer, I don't know what to do. this is not my thing naturally. When we are a leader, we figure it out. We get support. We keep trying. We've researched and we understand there's always a bigger meaning, a more significant thing that's linked to the thing that we need to do to move forward. If it is figuring out, more leadership skills, marketing, figuring out how to get yourself out there, figuring out how to be more visible, how to make it a not so hard experience and eventually something that you might even look forward to, or maybe you don't ever look forward to it, but it's a part of your mission work, right? I hate cleaning, but I didn't want my kid to grow up in chaos. So I work it out. I figured it out, my own systems, my own hacks, my own shortcuts, because it was part of a bigger mission. And though it might feel like, what's even the point of any of this? We have to go inward and recenter, right? Into why is this important? What am I committed to? And what am I going to stop arguing with myself about? Because I know this is the path. I'm doing it. Let's go. Let's stop murmuring and complaining and putting all of this energy, like we're leaking so much energy in conversations, in choices, in refusal to make choices and decisions that could actually be getting us so much closer and at the point of accomplishing what we want, right? But we're wasting it in all of this 3-year-old, I don't want to, I don't feel like it, isn't enough time, I can't do it, I can't figure out, it won't make any money, like I can't. I think if we could decide within ourselves that I'm done arguing with myself about the thing that I'm committed to doing. I'm just going to do it. And what if it's an experiment? What if I decide to focus, to get clear in my actions and take action on them for 7 days, 21 days, 30 days, 60, 90 days. And at the end of that, I will look at my results, the data, and make a new decision from there. I'm going to stop complaining and start creating. I'm going to stop complaining and start focusing on the mission. We would be so much better off because we would then be leading ourselves. And some of you are doing those things, but you realize maybe I'm off by like a centimeter. Sometimes having the mentorship to help you troubleshoot your own nervous system, your own trauma responses, your own stories and programming and stuck points is the thing that helps you move the whole thing forward. Because if we can't get past the parts of ourselves that are hell bent on staying small, hidden, safe, out of the way, we're not going to be able to just willpower ourselves through everything. We have to have regulation and structure. We have to have self-trust and commitment. There are principles that work together that move it forward. And some of us are focusing on principles that are important and that do matter. They're part of the strategy, but we cannot use strategy alone to bulldoze through our emotion. But we also need to know that we can't always camp out in our emotions for 10 years and do no practical strategy. There is a combination that's important in moving forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also just to kind of give people a little bit of a kick in the butt, like you want to make money, you want to be successful, like you have these dreams and desires, whether it's money or success, who knows what it is for you. It could be anything. You want to write a book, you want to do things, you want to speak on stages, you want to just be the best therapist in your land, like in your area.
Stop yelling at your kids.
Right,
you want to
do it. You just got to do it. You got to stop pussyfooting around the things and just actually do them. And if you can't, you got to get help so someone else can give you kind of the roadmap, because otherwise, it doesn't matter how much education you have. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how pretty you are. It doesn't matter anything if no one can see that, if you don't show up and speak about it, if you don't actually do the thing that you're wanting to do. Again, if you don't want to do anything, then you probably shouldn't be here, because we're speaking to leaders that have like unequivocally have a desire to have a bigger mission or want to do something for, mankind. If that's not your jam, that's okay. Even if it's a small mission, it's still impactful, still the same message applies, but you may not need the same type of guidance. It might need to be tailored to something different. But for those of you that are like wanting to do something and it's like years later and you're still dragging your feet, like it's time. It's really time. Take this as this, timely message, divine message that it's time, because no one's going to save you. No one's going to save your business. No one's going to save your life. No one's going to give you money to, to help you with anything. And if you do get it, again, it requires decisions on what you're going to do with it. But at the end, no one really is here to save you. You've got to be able to save yourself and know, okay, it's time. It's just time for me to do it.
It's so true. And for those of us who believe in a higher power, who believe in God, yes, I believe that Jesus saves and that we have this relationship with our higher power. And we
have free will.
Yeah, we have to partner with our higher power. No one, there's the boat story. The guy's in the boat in the ocean. He sends 7 ways of escape. The guy doesn't take them. He gets to heaven. It's like, God, you didn't help me. God said, I sent you 7 ways to get out of the water. You did not take them. So I did help, but you refused my help. Sometimes we're doing this when we don't allow ourselves to stop for a moment and say, what needs to be different for me to move this forward? What's the truth that I'm not telling or facing that's required for me to move this forward? What's the payoff of me staying stuck in this story of I can't do it, it's too hard, it won't work, I'm bad at tech, I can't figure out Canva, I don't have any time to give back to anybody, I don't know what I'm doing. What's the payoff of staying in this spiral, right? Of I can't, I won't. And we have to also, and this might just be your homework, think about, are there things that you you need to do, or you feel called to do these things, and you're saying, I can't do it, or I don't have time, or this feels hard, or you're not saying anything, but you keep putting off. Or
you stay busy.
Yes.
Just stay busy.
Yes, right? All self-sabotage. Is it I can't do it, or I won't do it, or right now I'm refusing to do it? Let's just get honest about why we're doing or not doing what we're doing or not doing, and what's the story? What are we believing about it? Because if you believe your mission's important, if you believe your purpose is important, if you believe that you get to have standards, even if you need to reframe them, redefine them, create them for the first time, if you need to do those things and you're not doing it, why? That's the homework for today.
We'll put that in the group though too, right?
Yeah, of course.
I did write some notes in the chat. Hi, Diana.
Thank you.
I did write some notes in the chat, but I didn't get a chance to.
No worries, all good.
So.
Thank you. That's amazing. For those of you who have enjoyed this conversation and who realize, I think this is the nail on the head for me. I think I need to look at these standards, missions, boundaries, purpose. What's the bridge between where I am and being in it, walking it out? I need more support with this. We are excited to share a sneak peek into how we can support you with that.
Yeah. Are there any questions before we hop off, or anything you want to throw in the chat? I was so engaged in our conversation today that I didn't do a lot of chat work and check it. Hi, Luana. Hi, Diana. Thank you both for being here. Lovely to see both of you. Is there anything final that we can support you with, just on a final note, I guess?
No worries, Luana.
No, we're just happy you made it. There's always a replay too that you can watch and catch up on as well. Yeah.
We are excited to support you with going deeper in the community around how do we really move forward in our leadership from a trauma-informed perspective, from not trying to just compartmentalize the things that hold us back or the things that we struggle with, but actually saying, this is who I am, this is all of me, and I'm going to partner with myself, all of me, to move forward on what I know I need to do, one step at a time, one commitment at a time, one focus at a time, one priority at a time, not all the things, one thing.
Yep. Remember too, like your mission, your purpose, whatever it is that we're talking about, the only person that really matters is you. You are the most important person in this whole equation. So the work is a you work. It's an inner work. Everything that we talk about and why it's trauma informed is because it's person centered. It's not arbitrary. It's not subjective. It's really what it is specifically for you. So what we do so beautifully combined through our intuition, through our strategy, through our building blocks, our experiences, education, all those things, as we kind of help you get into the inner works of you. What are those, again, like my partner always says, traps and hazards? Like, what are your triggers? What are the things that are holding you back? Because like, again, we can sit here and talk till we're blue in the face. But when you're alone, if you're still in refusal, if you're still in resistance, if there's still stories and narratives that are coming up saying, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, no one's going to care, what's the point? We need to work from that place, because that's where that foundational place is built. We don't want there to be cracks, because when you do go forth with any type of mission, you want to make sure that you're solid. We want to make sure that you're solid. And of course, you're human, you're going to have human moments, but the greatest of leaders have mentors. That's why they do, because we all have times when we're like sitting in our own, what is it, like, ego or our self victimhood or whatever it is. And we don't have the answer, because you're not supposed to have all the answers. But if you can just work on one thing today, tomorrow, say like, what am I really struggling with? What would feel really good to like unburden this part of me? Like if it's the resistance in something, what part of me is in resistance? Why am I afraid? How old is that part of me? Who is the critic in that part of me? Who's the one telling me I can't do it? Is it even me? Or is it my mom? Or is it an old teacher? Or is it a boyfriend or a husband? Who is it really? Get to the heart of it. And then this is the work that we're going to do on our next part of this journey. Yeah.
We're excited about it. So thank you for being here. If you're not in the Trauma Informed Coaching group, jump in there. The links will be below wherever this video is at. Yeah. We're doing like an after party in there. We have the homework listed for you in there. The replays will be in there, and you will have some insider goodies in the group. And so hop in there. Questions, drop them below wherever you see this video. And we'll see you soon. We'll post when the next dates are.
Yeah,
also.
We have a little bit of a break, which I think is good for integration and processing, and then we'll be back for the last two. But also put your takeaways in the group too. Like if you have any aha moments or takeaways or whatever you want to, put in there, the more stuff you engage with, we're going to put your name in for a drawing, and you're going to win some sessions with us. So it'll be really cool to kind of get to know each other on a more personal level, but also other people. Again, remember, people, like if they see your takeaway, they might be like, that might help them just in general too. So we're here to spread that ripple effect.
Doing the homework and posting it might be like,
post
that. I'm going to put it in my calendar. I'm going to really do it and take this seriously and show up. If I am the one leading myself forward, and I'm going to do this in that energy.
Yes. Amen.
We will be back soon. Love you so much.